Are you familiar with the story of Benghazi?
You used to get frustrated and ticked off every time you hear just that sentence.
We are very familiar with this.
Yes.
I remember when it happened. I remember as an American citizen how angry I became at the knowledge of knowing that our administration left people behind when they had people available to assist that could have avoided the entire situation. But because we had incompetence in office, this one stung because no man left behind. That should be our motto. And when it comes to the military today, this is what I would consider a precursor to what we have today. More worried about whether or not the enemy understands their pronouns than whether or not you need to make sure that no man is left behind in a foreign land. You risk your life for that. Every military credo stipulates that. Every movie you watch of the military, every reenactment, everything you've ever seen, if somebody gets shot, somebody goes back to grab them and try to rescue them, and if they die, they try to bring their body back so they can be buried with their family. Hillary Clinton, who had the audacity to run for president of the United States after allowing this to occur, is one of those people I refer to as absolutely incompetent. Or
Just evil.
Or her and this ambassador had issues, and that was documented. And she allowed him and several other people to die, be tortured, and dismembered out of spite. If you're a Hillary fan, girl power, girl boss, this video probably won't be for you.
But you need to watch it anyways.
This is the story of Benghazi, and it states by the man who was hired to defend it. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the people that were located at the embassy when this occurred, none of them were military to my knowledge. I know that the encampment of military that were not told by our government to engage, who did so anyway just because they felt the need to intercede and defend our people in a foreign land. I didn't think any of them were hired to do that. So this one got me curious. I'm curious what this man's story is going to sound like. The people that care about this country, that care about their children growing up in this country, people that want to see it succeed and want to grow it and build it, not destroy it, not burn the cities down. None of that nonsense. People that truly care about this country, these are the ones that need to hear this story, and we are two of those people that need to hear this story. So we're going to check it out and see exactly from his perspective what happened at Benghazi. Let's do this.
Who enemies are friendlies, you have no clue. Nobody wears uniforms, no idea. So you can't just start shooting people because they have a gun. You have to basically wait till they shoot or attack you first. I remember I tried to get in there, I was like, okay, I can do this. Sucked it up and I ran in, and then just hit me. I was like, oh, that's a mortar, it's gotta be. And I went, mortars, take. And as soon as I said take cover, I saw the first one hit backside of building C. My head, I'm like, I just watched my team get obliterated. And I put my head down, I did. That was the one point that night where like, crap, we can't beat this. I'm Chris Pirano. I was a security contractor, and this is my war story. It was September 11th, 2012, and we were in Benghazi, Libya. Myself and Dave Benton, he was Boone, is his call sign, and if you've seen the movie 13 Hours, that's how you recognize him. Him and myself had actually extended an extra 3 weeks. We were supposed to go home 3 weeks prior. So we were just, trying to just finish and chomping out the bit to get out of there because we had I'd say about a week left. And we were watching a movie. And we were on what was called QRF, Quick Reaction Force. We were the small two-man team that if necessary, we could go out and help our own personnel out in town. It could be anything from them getting involved in a firefight to them getting blown up to just even a flat tire. And we were just waiting for Oz. Oz was out on the final operation of the night, and we were waiting for him to come home so we could get another day down and get one day closer to going home. We got a call, and I remember it being 9:32, and it was our GRS team leader, and he said, we need all GRS in the team room now. And I get chills thinking about it, even right now, because there's that sense of urgency that you can hear in a voice, just that slight panic, even when they're trying to hold it together, that something's going on. And we got our gear and we headed out the door. And immediately as we headed out the door, you could see the firefight. You could see the tracers at the U.S. consulate, the State Department facility. We're 3/4 of a mile away and could see the red and the green. Tracers going up in the sky from a AK-47 or a PKM, a belt fed. And you heard the explosions from the RPGs. And you just saw the team, fantastic group of guys, starting to move, starting to get ready because we needed to get our gear and possibly get out the door and assist. 5 minutes, we're good. We're ready to go. And I remember I'm walking, and I walk up to my chief of base who's standing here. I walk up to my team leader who's standing here. We both have minimal military experience, but they're in charge of us. They're CIA employees. And I say, hey, we're ready to go. And I remember the chief looked at the team leader, and he said, tell these guys they need to wait. Now, I'm standing right here. And I know these guys. I've worked with them in other bases. But when he looked at me, kind of looked through me, and then he looked at the team leader and told the team leader, hey, tell these guys they need to wait. And I'm right here. Yeah, that got me a little miffed, a little pissed. And the team leader actually had the gall to look at me. He turned to look at me, he goes, you need to, and I stopped him. I go, I got it, man. And I walked back to the car, and Tyrone says, what's going on, Tano? And I said, Bob's telling us we gotta wait. That was hard. That was really hard to do because you can see the firefight. You know the State Department guys are getting crushed. And they have a high-level ambassador over there, Chris Stevens. And he's over there, and they're getting hammered. But you wait. They're in charge of us. That's what we're trained to do. We know what we need to do. We are leaders in our own right, but those guys are the guys that are in charge as far as the CIA employees. And we just did that for the next 10 minutes. And then it went to 15 minutes that we're waiting. And as that 15 minutes turned to 25 minutes, that's when we heard Alec Henderson say, GRS, if you don't get here, we're all gonna die. And I remember hearing that on the radio. Now, keep in mind, we've been hearing him ask for assistance for the last 20 minutes. And when he said that, the whole team knew, we gotta go. That motivated me even more. And we shot out the gate. So about 10 o'clock that we actually headed out the gate, and we drove down to the consulate thinking we could get in the front gate, get them all out, and get them out of there, and that didn't happen. 400 meters from the consulate, we're supposed to make a right down a dirt road. There's a local group there that looks like they're fighting back, but then it also looks like they're just running around like cats, like scared cats, like somebody's throwing a firecracker at cats. And we start moving to where we're supposed to make a right-hand turn off Gunfighter down a dirt road to the front of the consulate, which is 400 meters down the road. And as you get closer to that wall and you see a guy fight, there's one local that's fighting. I remember he was at a PKM. He's shooting down the road. Get closer, you start hearing snaps. Some of y'all that watch this, I'm sure you know what that is. The snap is when a high velocity round goes by your head, it breaks the sound barrier. It goes snap, 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 and you just start hearing snaps everywhere. You don't know who enemies are friendlies, or you have no clue. Nobody wears uniforms, no idea. And again, I'm watching a team not say a word, nobody panics, and they just start moving into position to return fire. And I see Tig with our 40mm grenade launcher. He starts lobbing rounds. And we split at that point. We split. When they first called us at 9:32, it took us almost an hour and a half to actually get a 3/4 of a mile into the compound. It was fire everywhere. Black smoke from the diesel. And people start to scatter. And we start clearing this compound. I hate using the word surreal. It's just something you can't make up. You can't fabricate anywhere else. The only place you're going to see stuff like that is in combat. We cleared that compound. And we found 5 survivors. About 11:30, we were taking turns running into this burning villa trying to find the ambassador. And I remember it was my turn, and I tried to run in, and man, it was like hitting a pizza. I mean, I just hit a wall. Just wham, it's like running into a pizza oven. I remember I tried to get in there. I was like, okay, I can do this. Sucked it up and I ran in, and I couldn't find him, so I came back out. That's when Boone came up and said we lost one. And my heart dropped. It was hard. And I ran to the front of the building to see what was going on, and I saw them pulling Sean Smith. And he was dead, smoke inhalation. And I saw Scott Wicklund. He started kind of going to shock. We had to go get the classified information because all that State Department guys had forgotten it, so Jack and I ran back over there to get it. Long story short, we threw all the classified information in the back of the State Department guys' SUVs. SUV, they had one, and as they go out, they're starting to leave, there's a huge explosion. And as the explosion, I remember a Libyan ran by me, he's missing his hand. And I remember I pulled my gun up because I didn't know what was going on. I was pointed right at him. There's a guy behind him that has pieces of his hand chasing after him. Your mind is trying to figure this out. As I go back to my position, another explosion goes off, and this one rocked me pretty good. Luckily, I was on the back side of the villa, so all I caught was really the overpressure and some debris. But it was an RPG, and we got counterattacked. We did best I could to fight it off. And I remember seeing the SUV take off as that happened and I was trying to use it for cover, and then it took off. They went right instead of left. And I remember hearing Jack and Ty on the radio going, "You guys are going the wrong way," and they got crushed. We couldn't do anything for them. And we fought off the counterattack, and about midnight, we finally got a drone overhead that I was starting to hear, and the drone, the ISR, was telling us, "You guys need to get back to the annex. They're just gonna get counterattacked." And we did. We left. We went back to the annex, and we left the ambassador. He was dead. He was found in his safe room, which we couldn't get back far enough into. He was found later by the locals when the fire died down, and they pulled him out, but we left him. And that hurts. The State Department guys that went right, instead they got ambushed, they fought through that ambush. It got back to our compound on run flats. Thing was shot up. It was still burning. The run flats were still burning the next morning. They got lucky. They got lucky because the RPGs missed. The positive on our compound is we practice defending our compound. We have areas that we can defend, so we know where we need to go, and we wait, and we start to see these guys move on us. And as they're moving, I'm trying to clarify, because they're using houses to come through us. And you know, everybody has guns over there. Even though you're not supposed to, everybody does. So you can't just start shooting people because they have a gun. You have to basically wait till they shoot or attack you first. And we're watching them move, and I remember watching them through this area we call Zombie Land. They're coming through moving, and as they're coming, I got my infrared laser on my rifle. I'm pointing, on my M4, I'm pointing at each guy saying, "Hey, do you see that guy? Do you see that guy?" And everybody on the radio is beautiful. Again, it's like a symphony. Everybody's on the radio is going, "Got him, got him, got him, got him." It was such a confident feeling, even though they were moving at us with more people than we had, knowing that we were all on the same page. It didn't take us that long. I bet it only took us maybe 5 minutes, 6 minutes to fight those guys off, and we handed them their ass. We did. And we got attacked again at 3 a.m., and this time it was a massive force. The movie did a fantastic job showing that. I mean, they're just coming wave after wave, and we're not holding back now. We're taking them out. And we did.
That's a great movie.
About 5 a.m., we get word that Glenn Doherty, his team, is coming in from Tripoli. Now, Bub died that night as well. They found a way to get to us, and they did. They got to us at 5 a.m. Bub came up to building C. I'm on building A, so we've got building B, A, C, and D. And I hear a shh. I go, "Did you guys hear that?" I'm on the radio. I said, "Did you guys hear that?" And then it just hit me. I was like, "Oh, that's a mortar. It's gotta be." And I went, "Mortars, mortars, take." And as soon as I said take cover, I saw the first one hit backside of building C. And I see another boom, and I see a guy go out of the fight. It was Dave Ubin. Well, as I turn around again to make sure we're not getting counterattacked, because we're still getting attacked from that area. Nobody's coming. I see a boom, boom, boom. My head, I'm like, "Oh my," I just watched my team get obliterated. And I put my head down. I did. That was the one point that night where like, crap, we can't beat this. We ain't got any air support. We got nothing to fight mortars. God, to me, that's what I heard. I said, God said, "Get your gun up, Ranger." And I got my gun up, and I kept shooting. Do you fight through it? You just fight through it. You gotta keep going. You can't quit. You can never quit, because you're gonna find a way. As that happened, I saw Tig get up there, and Tig could tell you better than I could. He got up there, he saw Oz. Actually, Oz's arm had been almost sheared off. Oz was already trying to get a tourniquet on his arm. Oz even tried to fight through a little bit of that, but he couldn't because his arm was hanging. He said he saw Bub. Bub was in the fetal position. Bub was face down. He checked him to make sure his vitals were okay, but they weren't. Bub was obviously dead. He went to Tyrone. He says, I started to check his vitals, and he said, Tyrone went shh, the last breath, and said, I checked his vitals, and he's dead. And then he saw Dave, and Dave's messed up. Trout bleeding out of his face. They said there was a militia coming in, and I said, well, can you tell me what they look like? Because there's only 3 guns left. It's me, Boone, and Jack Silva. Because Ron's dead, Bub's dead, and everybody else is basically hiding in Building C. Nobody's coming up to help us. And they couldn't tell me. Hey, Chief TL, can you tell me what they look like? We don't know. Can you tell me how many? They said 30 to 50, including technicals. I saw that militia coming, and it was my job to make sure they were good guys. If they weren't, I had to stop them. All I had left was my M4. And I remember seeing it. I remember I got down, and I got behind this parapet wall, because every wall over in the Middle East, North Africa, it's all flat with 3-foot-high parapet walls. And I got as small as I could. And I'm like, hey, Ferris Bueller line, you could have put a lump of coal at my butt, it would have become a diamond. I remember I put my red dot, 'cause it's daytime, and I put it on the front guy's vehicle, and I put it on the passenger side of the guy, because I'm thinking he's a commander, and he's chewing what we call cot, which is basically Copenhagen mixed with steroids and cocaine. And it looked like he'd been chewing it since he was probably 1 or 2 years old, because it's just disgusting. And they chew it because it's amphetamine. It gets them spun up for battle. And all I could think of, and this wasn't a movie scene, this wasn't dramatization, I just went like this. 9 times out of 10, if I threw that thing up and I got it back, I knew they were friendly. And it was all I could think of. I was tired. And I went, and the guy in the front vehicle smiled, and he went like this. And I knew we were okay. And I got on the radio and I go, they're with us. And yeah, I tear. I just all that tension, just holy crap, finally some help. We had to get Dave and Oz to the airfield because they're bleeding out. They're losing a lot of blood. And so we got in that convoy and we took off. We're the biggest, baddest convoy in Benghazi. Nobody's gonna mess with us. So we got on the airfield. If Bub wouldn't have got that jet there, we would have had 2 more deaths. But because he never gave up, we were able to get all of our non-shooters and all of our guys, Dave and Oz, that were bleeding out, onto that plane, and that flew back to Tripoli, and they were saved by Libyan doctors, and they were managed to stabilize them, and SF-18 Delta, Special Force 18 Delta, that was actually in Tripoli. We waited. The rest of us had to wait because there wasn't room, and at 10:30, a C-130 landed. I don't care what report you read, that thing landed, parked, shuts its engines off. I looked at the team leader, I said, is that for us? He didn't know. We went down there and we talked him into flying us out. Now the rest was history. After that, I went home, and then after 8 months of seeing the story being misconstrued and politicized and basically being lied about, the team, and that was the beauty of that team, the team made a decision to tell the truth. It wasn't one of us. If it would have been one of us, it wouldn't have happened. But we came together and we suffered for it. We were fired, lost our security clearances, and I never contracted again. That's basically it in Benghazi. If you would like to put your war story on, please use the comments below to request that. To all you men and women who served, especially you Vietnam veterans, welcome home. The rest of you veterans out there, thank you for continued service. And law enforcement, first responders, thank you for keeping us safe in this great nation.
Well, good on them for coming out and telling the truth and telling everybody. So this is what really happened. Screw all these assholes back here. Listen to us, because we were there.
Well, they broke cardinal rule number 1. I'm not referring to him and his team. I'm referring to our government.
Yeah.
Is they left men behind.
Yep.
They waited for hours and hours and hours for support while there were people on the line begging, pleading for help. U.S. citizens pleading with the U.S. government to please just fly airplanes overhead to make the aggressors understand that we know you're there, and even just flying overhead may be enough to scatter them
off. Yeah,
they'll scatter.
It's like, oh crap,
and
airstrike, run,
and rethink their entire approach. But because that never came, like you said, they were outnumbered, 10-1.
What's crazy is
survived.
As he was telling this, you could see like the trauma in his eyes the whole time he was talking.
Yeah, I'm sure he's told this story a dozen times, and
it doesn't get any easier.
Yeah, I mean that's a tough story because that's your brothers. You watched your brothers die, and you watched your brothers die for what? I mean,
spite.
For what? The ambassador was already dead. The ambassador should have been saved. If they would have, at the time that they were advised that the attack was happening, the U.S. could have had people there so quick, but they didn't. It goes to show you that our government really doesn't care about us. It doesn't. I mean, get in the comments and argue with me about it.
But they don't.
I mean,
they don't give a crap.
The day that we're filming this, so we're filming this on Tuesday, the 14th of November, is when San Francisco got cleaned up. They kicked out all the homeless. They washed away all the poop and the pee, and the boss is coming up, and that boss being Xi Jinping from China. And because China was coming to the town, Gavin Newsom, who will be running for president, mark my words, that's the plan, is to push Biden aside and put this moron in his place. This man who promised over 10 years ago, I want to say it was around 15 years ago when he was the mayor of San Francisco, promised he had a 10-year plan to clean up homelessness and clean up the city. It never happened, and it still hasn't happened. Now they're making excuses going, oh, no, this was part of that 10-year plan to get things cleaned up. Well, they did this crap awful quick, and screw the people of San Francisco. They've had to deal with this for years and years and kept voting these morons in, but years and years and years. And now they see how easy it was to fix. That problem was solved like that because the Democrats' boss, the leader of China,
it's coming to town.
Is coming to town. And so they had to roll out the red carpet and restore San Francisco to its prior beauty, which after they leave, we're going to see what happens. And if I'm a resident of San Francisco, I'm furious right now. But it shows you the government doesn't care about you guys. They don't. Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. They don't care about you. And this man's story is absolutely Exhibit A. Exhibit A, fellow Americans. Look what they did to him. Look what they did to the ambassador. Look at how they treat American citizens. We are going to be a third world country, and that's what they want. Because it's easier to control people that are dependent on you. If you solve everyone's problems, they don't need you. That can't happen. They have to be needed. They have to be able to fundraise. On top of taxing you to death, then funneling the money to other countries and back into your pockets, they want even more. The greed of our current system of government is astounding. And what's more astounding is people haven't opened their eyes to it yet. They need to go listen to some George Carlin and get their eyes open.
He was way ahead of it.
Go listen to, ex-Congressman Ron Paul. There's a lot of people that were way
ahead of it.
Way ahead of this. And
this could have been all avoided if we would have voted in Ron Paul. We would have been at the end of the whole
collapse of
the economy. We could have been built back up and been thriving. But no, he's crazy.
Yeah, you audit the Fed, you're going to create a collapse of the economy because
but that was 10 years ago by now?
Oh no, this was 2008. That's 15 years ago.
15 years ago, we would have been fine by now.
What would happen is we would find out that there's nothing to validate our currency, and it would crash the dollar because the federal government, it's not even federal government. The Fed is not a government entity, but they're the ones that loan us money. Our own money they loan to us and charge interest on it. And whose pockets does that go in? That's what Ron Paul wanted to know. Who's getting paid off of all this borrowing that the U.S. does? But yeah, they're way ahead of their time. George Carlin, Ron Paul, I can name you a list. Get in the comments if you want to know more people you can go check out. But this has been known forever. But Benghazi is literally Exhibit A. If you heard about this story and still believe the government cared about you, and then you watch the movie and still believe the government cares about you, and if you watch the border where it's just hemorrhaging and the politicians that claim to want to fix that do not show up to make a change to attempt to fix it, I don't know what to tell you. And finally, if San Francisco is not a perfect prime example of how much you mean to our politicians, Gavin Newsom telling you Democrats, vote for him. You're going to get what you deserve if you put another absolute greed-mongering, war-mongering, if you put that in office. You think our economy is bad now?
Yeah.
It's
just going to get worse.
Just wait. So get in the comments.
Get in our Discord.
Let us know your thoughts on this. Benghazi has been something that she and I have been passionate about for a long time because my family was military.
My family was military.
And to hear that a man was left behind, and not just a man, many people were left behind, but when your ambassador, the person you sent over there to negotiate peace and make sure peace is kept with a full country, you just allow him to be destroyed without attempting to even distract. I mean, like you said, an airplane, you fly an airplane over the top and they see that F-16 go flying over the roof of that consulate. Those people are going to scatter. And then all of the local bases can send their people in and they can just annihilate the threat. But that was not allowed. They were told to stand down and had to wait. It's just disgusting.
The fact that the not the team lead, but the other guy, straight up looked at him and then looked at the team lead and said, "You gotta tell them to stand down." It's like, dude, I'm right here.
Yeah.
I take orders from you too.
Yeah.
That would, I got you, bro.
Yeah, we're in a mess, guys. There's really no way to vote out. It's gonna take decades. If you're like us and you have young children, pray for them.
Seriously.
They have a truly uphill battle because our country is more concerned with pandering to people that don't matter than they are to rewarding the people that do. The people that work, the people that pay in the taxes, that put in the 9 to 5, that put in the 40, 50, 60 hours a week. They're the ones being screwed.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones being rewarded are the ones that don't work. They stand out in the street. They are, whatever, the current activism of the month is their new thing, whether it be LGBTQI or climate or you name it. They're the ones rewarded. Like, share,
Subscribe.
do the thing.
Do the thing.
Until the next time, guys, as always, come at me, bro.